What's up, players? Welcome to episode number 86 of Ready Press Play, your weekly source for everything that's new and exciting in the world of video games. Every Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific or 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we discuss the top news of the week, notable releases on all platforms, what we're playing, big topics of the industry, and the games we love. If you want to write anything to be read on the show, go to ReadyPlayNetwork.com or hit us up at Ready Press Play on Twitter or TikTok. No matter where you found us, please subscribe to the feed so you can get every new show directly to your device as soon as it posts. And if you like it, please leave us a nice review. This is September 3rd, 2021. I'm your host, Louis Menchaca, and joining me today, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Daniel Lima.
Louis, what's your level of confidence on it actually being episode number 86?
I'm pretty confident. Wasn't last week episode 85? Because I'm doing the evens now, and you're doing the odds. That's how we swapped it.
Yes. The episode number is correct. I did just check it on Overcast, but the question was more of a... I just wanted to see if it was going to throw you off just by me asking the question because...
So, really, earlier, okay, let me tell you this right now. I know I put the doc right for 86, and then you redid the doc and you changed it to 85, and then I went back in there and deleted it and changed it back to 86. I knew it was you.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no memory of doing that, which doesn't mean that I didn't do it, but if I did it, it was by accident.
Yeah.
Or maybe I kicked out the wrong doc to the wrong folder or something. I was only asking because I just wanted to think about the fact that we got to the point now with our episode count where I have a hard time keeping track, where every time I'm numbering the episode now, I actually I'll be looking at the doc sometimes and ask myself, wait, did I update the number? Did I not? Like, was this last week's number or not? And I got to go and find our podcast on like Overcast, which is the episode the app I use on my phone to actually double check. Okay, last episode was 85, so this is 86. Anyway, glad you're keeping track of that too. And
Yeah,
in fact in the right episode.
I just go to Level 1 Gaming's YouTube channel and be like, pull up a tab real quick and double check it. But yeah, no, I made the doc this week, which is unheard of. I copied and pasted the doc last week, and I remember changing the numbers out to 86 and deleting 85, like from using last week's doc as a skeleton. And so when I was looking at the doc this morning, because Dan wanted me to look over some revisions or whatever, the number was wrong, and I'm like, that's the first thing I would have changed. And then I looked later on, and then in the paragraph, the number was correct on 86, but why it was titled 85. So I was like,
We'll never know. We'll never know.
So, anyways. All that stuff aside, I think that's pretty much completely unnecessary for the listeners to talk about how OCD we are.
Yep.
For housekeeping here, we got a couple of things to pimp out here. Number one, we are here hosted very graciously and generously by Fame over here at Level 1 Gaming. So I always want to, of course, give them a shout out here to all you listeners, anyone that's listening on the podcast. If you don't go to level1gaming.com or if you don't go to the Level 1 Gaming YouTube channel, I would encourage you this week to do so and check us out on Wednesday. The flagship show is called the Double XP Podcast or 2XP. This past Wednesday on the Level 1 Gaming YouTube channel, you can go and watch a podcast that they did when they had host from IGN, Ryan McCaffrey, do the podcast as a guest. And they definitely did the thing where they give a quick little 5-10 minute interview real fast to kick the show off, ask about Brian and his journey to being in games media, and then after that they just sort of like did a regular show and just sort of kind of integrated him in and just sort of like have him on as just another guest, which is kind of cool because it's like, in my opinion, it's a good way of like just trying not to like, I don't know if how you feel, but it always kind of feels like you don't want to try to overhype someone. You just sort of want to make it. It's always better when you're chill and cavalier about it. Oh, he's just another one of the fellas, that kind of thought.
Yeah. He leveled pretty nicely with everybody else in the panel, which everybody did great. I'm a big fan of Ryan McCaffrey. My favorite podcast that he does is actually not even Unlocked, which is the Xbox podcast that I'll listen to most weeks. But it's also Unfiltered, which is a monthly IGN deep dive where he interviews a game developer, and he's interviewed all sorts of people in there. Phil Spencer, I think multiple times, like Tim Schafer, like Todd Howard, like all these people that we know, like from the games industry and
former
stuff.
CEO of EA, I forgot his name.
Peter Moore.
Yeah, that's
right?
the one. Yeah.
Yeah. And is just like, I'm always excited to listen to those, and I had not seen anybody do that kind of content before Ryan did. Nowadays, there are other folks that are doing similar thing, but I'm pretty sure he was one of the first, at least in a large scale, because for things like that, you also you need to be somebody that is big and respected in the industry. You need to be somebody that is at an IGN, at a website of that capacity, to be able to do it and find the guests, find the right guests and stuff.
Yeah,
And it's really, really cool.
the games industry doesn't quite have its Oprah yet, I would say, but we're
Yeah,
sort of getting there.
yeah.
Like an Oprah who's got the caliber to command like any presence, to command, to get any guest they want, to ask any question they want. You know what I mean? A lot of times these industry events are sort of like tied down by red tape, as you can't ask this question or you can't say this or that. So it's always better. It's always cool to see something so genuine where they're just sort of getting into like the weeds and talking about things that were kind of like breaking NDA, kind of like not breaking per se, but generally speaking, we tend to get a lot of like old news that like, holy crap, that should have been news. That was like years after the fact, but people don't talk. The games industry is just full of secrets, by the way. So
I also want to give a shout out on that note. I know that we're going from like tangent to tangent here, but Ted Price from Insomniac also does a podcast where he talks with other game industry people. It's actually the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences podcast, which is that's the organization that runs DICE. And he does most of the interviews, or occasionally they have somebody else interview as well, but that podcast is also pretty good for people that are looking for that kind of content. But anyway, yeah, shout out to David, Fame, and the Level 1 Gaming crew. David was featured on Unlocked a few weeks ago, and I thought it was pretty cool to listen to him there. And now Ryan McCaffrey was featured on the Level 1 Gaming channel. So it's cool to see, the way everybody is interacting with each other and working together.
I guess that's my next goal, is to get on an IGN podcast. I need to get on NVC or something like that. Or oh snaps! What the hell?
Oh no!
I don't know what the hell.
What's up, players? Welcome to episode number 87 of Ready Press Play.
I did not press anything on my phone. I don't know how that happened. Like straight up, I have no idea how that happened. But I'm glad I got the ear headset on, and
that's live showbiz for you.
So
except we're not live.
Yeah, exactly right. But that was. Well, whatever. You know what? I'm gonna flex. I was on a Greg Miller podcast, so fuck you, Fame. Granted,
that's true.
I would have rather have done it his way, but we all to each their own. But anyways, that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the actual topic of discussion. But also, quick side note: Sony announced basically an E3 for next week. So there's a summer showcase. That's September 9th. That's next Thursday. That's a time for us to talk about it on episode 87. So yes.
Or 88.
No, fuck you. Fuck you. We're timely. So, topics of discussion. All right. I was the one that added this onto the doc for something a little check this out. And the only reason why I said check this out is I'm not a fan of looter shooter games, by the way. I don't do those kind of genre, but I will say this trailer here that they showed up. It's called Project Magnum. It's not the final title, but probably is, because you know how talk to Hyrule Warriors or Octopath Traveler. But anyways, there was this Project Magnum, and it's a looter shooter, and they showed in-engine gameplay, and basically it looks really good. The graphics are A1. It's a PlayStation 5. I think it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive, but it's on the PlayStation YouTube channel. So it's either exclusive or they got a marketing deal. But
it's on PC as well. It says your PC/console-based game that combines RPG play with third-person shooter combat.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put the gameplay up on screen for the YouTube people here. And damn, it looks gorgeous as fuck. And I'm glad I have a 4K monitor on this PC, because damn, you just sort of get that scale and that breadth of just oh my god, it's spectacle. And it almost this other shot that was here on screen here, that's very yellowish. It reminds me a little bit of Metal Gear Solid vibes to it, which is really weird, but because there's nothing to do with that. But there's something about this game that looks like I've seen this game sort of combining many different genres into one kind of thing.
Yeah. I will say that looking at this trailer, and I'm watching it for the first time now, number one, my computer is struggling with it already. to even run it. I think it's because the trailer is running at 60 frames per second. I'm doing a bunch of things on the internet as well at the same time, being on the skull. But I did try to up the resolution so that I could see it in its full glory, and it does look fantastic. This looks truly next gen. But I wonder, Louis, nowadays I tend to hesitate on like getting super hyped for something about like when it comes to visuals, right? Like visual hype,
Yeah.
because we've been burned too many times where we see something and it actually by the
Anthem.
time it comes out, it doesn't look like at all like what it did the first time we saw
Watch
it, like
Dogs.
Watch Dogs, right? Like a while ago and stuff like that. So I'm not as ready to jump on the bandwagon, but I will say, yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm interested.
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff that just started like shots that reminded me of like Metal Gear Solid, Horizon Zero Dawn. Like there was a lot of different like I don't know like touches that just sort of like gives me the impression that this game has like a lot of different things going for it. Again, we don't have a whole lot to go with, and we don't even have the title. It's just got a project. Its developer name, which by the way, I don't know if you know this. Anthem was actually supposed to be the code name for the game. It was never supposed to be the final title, and they were like, "Fuck it, it's Anthem." So
I don't know, nor will comment on anything about Anthem because I'm an EA employee.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Oh yeah.
So I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that's something that's out there or not, or what. But oh well.
Okay. Then just take it from me, guys. That's it. All right. Plausible deniability. Anyways.
Exactly.
So that being said, I think that's pretty much all we got to say for Check This Out, which is a segment that we don't even do anymore.
I wanted to look up what this developer, like Nexon. I remember seeing this developer name before, but I don't remember what they
Nexon
do.
subsidiary Nat Games.
There we go. They make Maple Story. Interesting. Okay, I don't think they've ever made a game like this. Honestly, like
that does not. Yeah, I was gonna say that doesn't sound like anything close to resembling this.
Yeah, and Maple Story was this older like MMO thing that I played. It was a free to play 2D side scrolling MMO. From 2003. It might still be active in some way, actually, but they've done a lot of other things like mobile games and stuff. This is kind of crazy because this is like a whole different scale for them, but we'll see.
All right. By the way, I totally forgot the order of operations things, but we're going to fuck it. We're just going to go with it.
All right.
Next up is the Twitch streamers have staged a walkout today to protest in action over harassment. So this is I've heard about this, and I only heard about it because IGN covered it and stuff like that. But it's basically a campaign that's basically where Twitch streamers are just like not streaming, and they're putting like a little an image of like we're participating in this, this walkout essentially. And yeah, let's see what happened here. A group of Twitch streamers are calling on other channels and viewers to boycott the site for a day as a response to hate raids. The hashtag ADayOffTwitch campaign was set up by three streamers, Wreck-It Raven, Lucia Everblack, and Shiny Pen, to bring attention to what they believe is a failing on Twitch's part to take action against hate raids on marginalized creators. Wreck-It Raven, who is black, was subject to a hate raid on August the 6th, in which a large number of viewers were using Twitch raid bots or raid functions to flood their channel with racist slurs. The boycott is intended to pressure Twitch to take more action on similar hate raids. And then there's like a little a Twitter tweet here from Wreck-It Raven talking about we're continuing the fight, and then it's got the little image of the hashtag ADayOffTwitch, and it was supposed to be yesterday, day of recording, September 1st. So I'm guessing this was a success. I haven't followed through with that. But,
yeah, I don't know if Twitch has taken any action, but I know that the boycott did happen, that a lot of people participated on it, and now there's also a wave of streamers announcing that they're leaving Twitch to go stream for other platforms. Ooh. Which you can hit on because it's it was like the sub story under the story. But yeah, so I'll let you keep going, and then we'll talk about it.
All right. So let's see here. Today's blackout will last for 24 hours and encourages both streamers and viewers to stay away from the site and not engage with it in any way, be that through streaming, watching streams, or logging onto chat. On the same day as the campaign initially announced, Twitch posted a thread on Twitter explaining that it was attempting to stop hate raids, but that it was not a, quote, a simple fix. No one should have to experience malicious and hateful attacks based on who they are or what they stand for. It stated, "This is not the community we want on Twitch. We want you to know that we're working hard to make Twitch a safer place for creators." Quote, "Hate spam attacks are the results of highly motivated bad actors and do not have a simple fix. Your reports have helped us take action. We've been continually updating our site-wide ban word filters to prevent variations on hateful slurs and removing bots when identified." So, yeah, I think I'll go ahead and move on to the next sub headline. It says Twitch departures continue as Tim the Tat Man leaves for YouTube. Tim the Tat Man is leaving behind 7 million followers. Jeez, that is insane. I never heard of this guy, and this is my first time hearing about this. But
he was,
yeah,
you heard about him one time before, which is that he was nominated. He was one of the nominated people for the Game Awards, like Content Creator of the Year or whatever.
Okay, so yeah, the Tim the Tat Man is the second Twitch streamer to leave the platform leave the platform this week to broadcast exclusively on YouTube. Batar announced his departure from Twitch on Twitter on Wednesday. Dr. Lupo announced Monday that he too was leaving the platform. And he says, "We're building the best gaming platform in the world for creators, publishers, and gamers." YouTube head of gaming Ryan Watt wrote on Twitter referencing Batar's move to YouTube. Batar's leaving behind 7 million followers on Twitch to join a growing community of exclusive gaming streamers like Valkyrie and Courage. That makes sense. But anyways, so yeah, that's a lot of money on the table. I gotta hand it to them. I would never do such a thing. It's like, that's all. That's so like, think about like from the perspective of like Ninja. Whenever he left Twitch to go to Mixer, he never got that level of. It's like he left popularity. He left the lexicon. He left the zeitgeist. And even when he came back to Twitch, yes, he has a following, and yes, he had people come back, but he didn't have that full force of like 100% like the penetration that he had. So as far as like relevancy.
Is maybe the money that he would have made in that scenario offset by the amount of money that he was paid on his contract with Microsoft?
Yes.
Right. So like there's maybe some more math to be thought of in there.
True.
But what I think is interesting about this is that, well, number one, these hate rates are crazy. I can't believe that they're happening in the scale that they have. And the reason why I say that is because obviously they're terrible nonetheless, no matter who they were targeting. But if it was some huge, like, big name streamer that was receiving a hate raid, I would have thought, oh, okay, I guess like they're targeting the big name streamer or whatever. It's a movement against them or something like that. It would be upsetting. But what makes this even more upsetting is because I'm seeing very small content creators be targeted by this hate raid. In fact, MC Fixer, who is somebody that Lewis and I both know from like kind of like internet communities that we participate on and stuff, is a much smaller content creator. He's somebody that's out there who has like gotten some good opportunities, who built a following and who streams to an audience, right? So he's not a nobody, but he's not like, Tim the Tat Man, like 7 million followers or whatever. He's a relatively small streamer in the grand scheme of things. And even he got hate rated. So I can't help but think about like how, like, where is this stuff even coming from? Like who is, it almost feels like there's, who are the evil like masterminds that are behind this stuff, like kind of like planning these attacks, and why are they targeting the people that they're targeting? And how can Twitch not figure this out and just kind of ban everybody or something?
Yeah.
And take care of it. I understand that it's probably a complicated problem to solve. But I mean, Amazon's got a lot of money. Like they got to figure something out, like I understand that they can block certain words and then people will figure out ways to say the words in different ways anyway.
Yeah, put a 4
right?
instead of an A and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they can keep trying to chase that. I feel like that's kind of like a never ending solution. Like it's never going to be completely solved if that's all they can do.
It's whack-a-mole, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. But the way I look at it is like, okay, maybe we need to come up with like maybe a more creative solution to the problem. Maybe something along the lines of like, if like four people in the chat say the same word, like one after the other, maybe that word gets flagged and goes into some kind of like verification system of some kind or something along those lines. You know what I mean? So that maybe they can act on some of the stuff quicker, because when you look at the hate raids, and I saw some videos of this, it is straight up like hundreds of people in the chat just saying the same thing over and over and over again, like the same slur, copy and pasted over. Like it feels like you could find a programmatic way to cache that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
and
yeah, I don't
Amazon is
know.
like the king of algorithms. Everything is an algorithm.
Yes,
So, um,
yes.
you know what's kind of fucked up, and this is like I know this has nothing to do with the problem at hand. Which by the way I don't condone it any way or shape or form. I mean, imagine like us doing a Ready Press Play a Halo live stream, and then all of a sudden we just see like a bunch of like freaking slurs hitting our text, and we don't even have
Yeah,
any mods because there's just the two of us. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like that would
exactly.
be I would be like, okay, I guess we're ending the stream now, that kind of thing. So like that would be my reaction. But that being said, as far as like the little evil opportunist in me, like a part of me would have like been that guy that would have been like, all right, I'm streaming on September 1st, because if no one is streaming on Twitch and I'm the only one on Twitch, that kind of thing, then therefore I get all the views, kind of thing. That's like that is like the worst thing I could possibly think of,
There
but.
were probably people that tried to take advantage of that. I'm not sure how much of a difference it made because I would guess that um, if the big streamers that decided to do this probably conveyed it to their audience in a way that maybe their audience would almost like kind of participate or not even like engage on it as much. I'm sure there's probably a percentage of people that did go in anyway and just kind of found other streamers to watch. So you're right. There might have been some advantage to the people that were online that day, but I feel like that doesn't take away from kind of the idea of what they were trying to do. And I feel like they probably achieved it to some extent anyway to try to. But at the end of the day, it's like Amazon has so much money. It's like, what are they really trying to do, right? Like, are they trying to make them lose money so that they'll pay attention? I'm not sure if like a certain percentage decrease in one day of Twitch really means that much to Amazon and $1 trillion Jeff Bezos,
Yes.
So I actually think that what might hurt them the most is things like the departures. If multiple big streamers try to make that decision to leave Twitch and go stream on YouTube instead, which by the way seems to be growing a lot when it comes to gaming streaming, then maybe that is a way that those situations that Amazon will be more proactive about handling the situation. I'm sure that makes more of a dent. Like Tim the Tatman leaving Twitch, being somebody that has 7 million followers and probably thousands, tens of thousands of subscribers, right? That probably makes more of a difference than just like a day of boycotts,
Yeah.
honestly, in the long run, right?
Yeah. Plus, when this article mentions that they basically lost 108,000 live concurrent viewers that day, which was like
Mm-hmm.
1.6 million site wide to 1.5 million. So it was a dent, but not, albeit it's still, you still got 1.5 million people watching live.
The one other thing that I want to say about this is that, like, I I feel like I just don't really like Twitch as much as a company, and I don't know if I have a problem with Twitch or maybe if it's more of like Amazon and the way Amazon runs it. But I feel like, for instance, the on Twitch, um, you can't make any money from your streams until you're an affiliate, correct? Like,
Yes.
so you got to meet certain requirements to be an affiliate.
Same for
However,
YouTube.
However, if there are millions of people streaming below affiliate level, which there are still ads being shown in their streams, and Twitch is making 100% of that money, right?
Yes.
So Twitch makes 100% of the money of the people that are below affiliate level.
Same for YouTube.
Once, once you're above affiliate level, however, it's a 50-50 cut. Now, I don't know what the cut is like for other platforms, but I feel like a 50-50 cut is insane. Like, if you put a game on a platform, the cut is typically 70-30. The developer gets 70, the platform gets 30. And that is something that there's already significant pushback against in the games industry. Epic Games, for instance, is trying to change
18.
that
Yeah.
to be like 88-12 or something like that. And so the fact that we're all just okay with the 50-50 cut on Twitch is insane to me. Like, can you imagine somebody at a big level? It doesn't make any difference for people like us that are not really making any money, but imagine somebody at a big level that is bringing in, like, let's say 10 grand a month on subscribers on their channel. They only make 5 grand out of those 10 grand, and there's probably taxes deducted from that too. So isn't that kind of insane that you're bringing in all that money to the platform and you just kind of make half of it? It just feels unfair. I don't know.
That's a mafia level shit right there. It's like we run this joint, like you got to play by our rules, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like strong arming as fuck. But yeah, you're right. And
So
then
I don't know. I
we
just feel
little
like
creators, when we
Twitch.
make like affiliate level status, we're like, yes, thank you, sir. You know, like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Which, by the way,
I
I've yet to make any money off of Amazon or Twitch because both YouTube and Twitch, they both do the same rules where they don't want to cut a check because it's expensive. So what they
hmm
do is you have to make $100. You have to earn
Yeah.
$100 before you get a check. And I'm like, fuck. So
Which I have a story about that as well, which I don't know if I want to get into with Google, but I had at one point I was running a website and my website had ads on it that were ran through Google, and I was waiting for it to hit that $100 so that I could cash a check for my ad money. And at some point when I was almost hitting $100, my account got suspended, my like ad account. And the ad account got suspended with no explanation whatsoever. There was no like, oh, it was just like, oh, you infringed the rules. They didn't even tell you which rule. Like, they didn't even tell me which rule I infringed. And then I tried to look it up, and I found out that that's a pretty common thing to happen. That people have a tendency to get their accounts banned with no explanation right before they hit $100 when they would be able to cash the check, and that the communication that they have about the rules that were broken is terrible. You can send an email to like some support location or whatever, and you're never gonna hear back.
wow.
So
That's
just saying.
I never experienced that before because like my YouTube account with the hundreds of thousand views that I amassed only amounted to about $60. So
Yeah.
before I lost my my partner status because those bastards at YouTube had to change the rules. Anyways, we're going on tangents on tangents on tangents. Let's go ahead and move on to the next story here. Now, this news story here, this next story is actually very interesting because there's like it sparked a huge debate, and it all started with the YouTube channel. I'm subscribed to the YouTuber Austin Evans, and this article reads from GameSpot. As written by Otto Kratky. Never heard that name before. We've been saying a lot of names. We got a new friend of the show. A recent teardown video posted by YouTuber Austin Evans of Sony's new model of the PlayStation 5 has revealed how the console has managed to shed two-thirds of a pound, or 300 grams for the people that don't use freedom units. The console's new version reportedly sports a smaller heatsink, which naturally leads to some slightly raised internal temperatures, but there's no reason for concern. The console that Evans broke down is the PS5 1100B, which consumers will see on store shelves read sold out on Amazon or Walmart as the PS5 Digital Edition. The new version of the console weighs 7.8 pounds, whereas the original model came in at a hefty 8.4 pounds. Evans' new video shows that nearly all that weight has been cut from the console's heatsink. In testing, Evans found that this smaller heating solution meant that the console would run a tad bit hotter, which I think he said like 3 to 5 degrees Celsius. And I do not know how much that is in freedom units because I don't know what Celsius means. Examining the console's rear exhaust vents while it was running Astro's Playroom, he found that increasing the temperature, it's about 4 to 5 degrees Celsius, with the console hitting a high of 58 degrees Celsius. Before anyone starts panicking or over the increase in the temperature, though, there are some important things to note. First and foremost is that we don't know how hot this new edition of the PS5 can potentially run. Evans showed that the console's running Astro's Playroom, which, while it is a PS5 title, isn't extremely taxing. We've reached out to Sony for comments about the tolerance for PS5 temperatures, but did not hear back at the time of writing. Most importantly, though, it's that the world of tech, these temperatures aren't anything surprising. In gaming computers, for instance, it's common to find CPUs that idle around 55 degrees Celsius and can jump much higher when running a demanding title. That being said, PC users can clean their various fans and cooling systems. Sometimes they might take a bit more effort and know how to do for the PS5. So, anyways, this was a shitstorm, and Austin Evans got a lot of hate. Twitter was abound. So yeah, Dan, what's your take?
Just so you know, it's about a 9-degree Fahrenheit difference because he said it's like 58 Celsius is as hot as it got. So 5 less than that would be 53. So 53 Celsius would be 127 Fahrenheit. 58 Celsius would be 136 Fahrenheit. So it's about a 9 Fahrenheit difference.
Jeez.
As far as I could tell, this difference is actually sort of negligible. I don't know enough about tech to really know these things myself, but it comes across like there was a whole fuss about nothing with this one, that it's really not that big deal at all, that it's not really gonna like that your basically your PS5 is at no extra risk of overheating really, and that this is more just console war fuel. At least that's what I heard from it.
So I have I've watched many a Digital Foundry, so I'm going to play armchair expert here because I do.
Okay.
I'm going to parrot what they said here. So
what's in the vaccines and why does the government want us to take them, Louis?
It's because it's the mark of the beast, man. I'm just kidding. Anyways, normally when it comes to like reducing heat sinks, reducing that kind of stuff, that's normal for a revision. As far as like think about the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch had a revision where it had a more efficient chip that drew less wattage, and therefore the battery lasted longer because it's more power efficient. So when you think about that, you don't have drawing less power means you're not gonna create more heat. The more processing power you do, it makes heat. It builds it up. So you could just basically sort of make a PS3, PS4 Slim, whatever, because things are more efficient. That's what happens. How you get slim models. And so what happens is in this particular instance is you're basically doing a PS5 Slim edition, taking out some of the heatsink, but you're using the exact same processor that's drawing the exact same power. Now, my understanding on the situation is that, it's running within the reason why this product has been shipped and put out there. It's because it is operating under Sony's, guidelines. You're not gonna have any performance issues or anything like that. So from that standpoint, you're right. It's a much ado about a hairdo kind of thing. However, Austin Evans pointed out, and so does many others, they're pointing out is like, yeah, it's going to be fine now. It's whatever. But in the long term, over the course of a console life cycle, or even beyond the console life cycle, like 8 years, after like the PS5 is discontinued, that console that has like the smaller heatsink, because you're going to be running it over the course of years, playing games and stuff like that at a hotter temperature, it will eventually break down, more susceptible to like basically like doing like a red ring of death or yellow light of death kind of situation than you would like an original launch model, is what people are speculating. And again, this is speculation because the PS5 is brand new and all that stuff.
Right.
But again, that's just something to sort of keep an eye out, because heat is an issue ever since like the PS3 360. Heat has always been an issue. It's been like the thing where like the original PS3s had the yellow light of death, the red ring of death being famous. The PS4 sounds like a jet engine, that kind of stuff. Like that's all stuff that matters. And it could be a situation where Sony over-engineered the launch models, where they were being overcorrecting, and they don't need that. It's possible that that's a thing. However, just sort of looking at the optics, it doesn't play well, and also no official source has ever, Sony has never commented yet. I've been keeping an eye on like all these other websites, and Sony has been reached out by IGN and all these places, and these YouTubers as well, including Digital Foundry, and Sony has yet to issue a comment, which is, I don't know how that looks optics as far as like, I read, it could read either way, but just sort of like giving you the breakdown. There is something there, but also not. It is overhyped, yes, but it's also not completely unwarranted, in my opinion.
Fair enough. I don't have anything to add. I'll trust your take on that.
All right, cool. All right, I'm glad I got the original beefy PS5, by the way. Let's go ahead and move on to the next bit here, and it says here, and this comes from Eurogamer. This comes from Ishraq Suban. And it says here, Steam's 2-hour refund policy leads to indie developers quitting game development. This is why we can't have nice things. A new debate has erupted surrounding Steam's 2-hour refund policy. If you weren't aware, Steam offers a refund for all game purchases, no question asked, as long as your playtime is less than 2 hours and within 2 weeks of purchase. It's a pro-consumer policy or a cost-effective way to reduce the number of customer service staff depending on who you ask. and the 2-hour playtime threshold is intended to stop less trustworthy consumers from exploiting it. But while most AAA games easily exceed the 2-hour length, looking at you, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, smaller indie games with short stories can fall short. This potentially leads to a situation where players can finish a game and return it within 2 hours. That's the exact situation faced by indie developer Amica Games, who recently released Summer of '58, a psychological thriller that received an overall rating of a very positive on Steam. Unfortunately, the game can be completed in about 90 minutes, which leaves plenty of time for players to exploit Steam's refund policy. In a statement posted on Twitter, the developers said that they are leaving game development and referenced that they aren't earning enough to develop more games because of the high amount of refunds. And there's a tweet post here from Amica Games, and it says, "Friends, thank you for support. I'm leaving game development for an indefinite time to collect my thoughts," with a picture of text for a longer tweet. It's an unfortunate situation where consumer-friendly policy is harming the very developers who can least afford to be losing sales. It's also a difficult problem to fix. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Dan, this was a story years ago. Like I remember back in like 2015, like 2016. I remember when Steam first introduced the policy, and they were basically trying to make it so it's like the best that they can possibly do. So it's like, in my opinion, this is kind of like their catch-all, you know. But yes, there are a lot of like short games out there, a lot of indie developers that do that. So what is your take on this?
I don't think it's a difficult problem to fix. I think that it needs to be a percentage of the length of the game as opposed to like a flat 2 hours. Because I would argue that for some games you may need even more time to realize whether you actually truly like it or not, and whether you'd want a refund. Versus with other games, the whole game is 2 hours long, so you should really not be able to play the game and then get a refund once you're done with it. So based on that, I think we need to look at this more of a like you can play up to like 20% off the game before you can no longer get a refund. How do we track that though? Like, how do we know how long the game is, since there are so many different variables that can influence what game length even means, right? Like you can have an open world game, you can have like a MOBA, or where it's just, you're just like playing matches over and over again, or you can have like all sorts of different things. So I would say that there's a few different ways to approach this. One way would be to, since you have player data about everybody who's playing the game, you can average out the amount of time that people spend playing the game, and then you can do a percentage based on that. So if you average out play time for Gone Home, for instance, that average is probably going to be between 1 and 2 hours anyway. So if you do a percentage of that, it's going to be like, I don't know, like 50 minutes, right? Or 20 minutes or something like that.
And, I just thought of this while you were talking here, but I wanted to ask you, how hard would it be to do like an opt-in policy where you can, like, when the developers are like entering a certification process or they're submitting their games, they can sort of check a box where it's like 30 minutes, an hour long, 90 minutes, 120, like that kind of stuff, where it's like you can just tell Steam what you want the refund policy to be on a per individual game basis, and on the Steam store, like the actual storefront, when you're buying it, you're presented with that game's refund policy at checkout. Like, how hard would that be?
The problem with that is that most developers would want to opt out of it, basically, because no developer really wants their game to be refunded and then lose their money, right? So I think what would happen is that most developers would pick the option that has the least amount of time, so that they get the least amount of refunds. That's the problem. Because I was thinking about that too. Like, what if the developer can pick, or if they could just opt out of it or whatever? Like, my game is non-refundable. Then that creates a problem, because everybody would want their game to be.
I wouldn't give that an option. So I would say like the lowest be like 30 minutes, which, by the way, to be fair, there's many a game demos discs from like the PlayStation 1 where all they give you is about 30 minutes to like a level or two, you know what I mean? So it's like, you really, I mean, I get what you're saying about how long to try a game or whatever, but like, in my opinion, like if you are, having 30 minutes with the game, it was like a hands-on preview of sorts, like that kind of thing, you can sort of tell. Like I can tell you right now, I played Ori and the Blind Forest before it released, hashtag flex. But I can tell you within like 2-3 minutes of me playing the game, I was enthralled. You know what I mean? Like that.
Right.
Like there's like a certain thing where like a gravity pulls you when you want to play a game.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. I just think that like it depends on the game a little bit because when I think about a game like The Last of Us Part 2, that almost feels like the kind of game where maybe
Oh, people would have refunded it within 30 minutes. I can tell you that much.
yeah. Well, actually I don't know because the event in the game that I think ultimately led to a lot of people being upset, and I know it's not the only problem with the game, but there's a major event that happens in the game. That event actually happens like 2 hours in. And I think that a lot of people would want a refund after that, perhaps, because that's kind of where the game really reveals itself as what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like, for instance, for a game like that, and the game in total is like 25 hours long or something, like for that game, I think it would make sense for somebody to be able to get a refund after 2 hours or even 3 hours or 4 hours or something like that. But then obviously you can't have the same policy for an indie game. So yeah, I think there's different ways to fix this. Like I said, like it could be a like developer input on it. It could be some kind of based on the data of the playtime of the people that have played the game. Um, the game has to go through some kind of certification anyway. So perhaps during certification they could determine that based on what the game is. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
visual
So
novels, man.
yeah,
Those are like
right.
there's like almost no gameplay on certain. I've played an indie game where it's like it's all text, and I'm like, this isn't a game, but it's on Steam. But whatever.
Yeah, some people like those, but I can't really like. I don't. I've tried playing some of those too, but they're just not for me.
Okay, all right, fine. We'll go ahead and move on to the next, the last bit of topic of discussion here, and it's regarding Halo. Halo Infinite director. Here's why campaign was a no-show at Gamescom. This comes from Polygon, written by Owen Good. The game's finished. 343 is focusing on sticking the landing. He says, Halo Infinite's creative director on Thursday night sought to reassure fans who were disappointed that Wednesday's Gamescom opening night live presentation didn't show any of the game's campaign, and are also concerned that its absence means something is wrong. It isn't, wrote Joseph Staten of 343 Industries. I've played Halo Infinite's campaign multiple times, he said, but every time I do, I always find something new tucked away on Zeta Halo? That's an... Okay. No matter how many times I play, Halo Infinite remains fundamentally super fun to play, and we're very eager to share all that fun with you through captured gameplay, trailers, and other content once we get this plane safely off the ground. Or on the ground. Staten said that the campaign wasn't shown because 343 developers are hard at work in shutdown mode, which means mission critical tasks related to finishing a feature complete game. For campaign, that means putting maximum effort into ensuring the wide open adventure filled experience you'll get to play on December 8th is as great as it can possibly be, Staten said. And gameplay demos and trailers do not take a huge amount of effort to do well. Okay, sorry.
Not
only take a huge amount of effort to do well, they also take cycles away from bugs and other shutdown tasks. I'm gonna leave it there. That's kind of makes sense. I would imagine that's a lot of polish is a thing, and also I know from like when it comes to E3 demos. Like I've seen many stories in the past where like developers complain that they have to take away from development time because they have to develop the demo itself. Like it's a separate task unto itself, and so I'd imagine doing a trailer or cutting together a trailer is also a separate project in and of itself too.
Yeah. So when you're developing a game, it's like you're dealing with a constantly unstable product, and that's part of the process, right? Because as every day there are people adding in new changes, new features, messing with the assets and all that stuff. So you do try to have some level of stability with it so that, everybody can work on it and not have any major issues so that people can play test the game daily and not have any major issues. But you still run into a lot of situations where, there will be like somebody will start like a level block out, and then there will be like this part of the level is finished, but then, or start to finish, but then you look away, and then this part is like just a block out. Or maybe you have like this thing, like there's a certain action that if you try to do it in the game, it crashes, but it's fine because the developers know, so none of us are doing it until that gets fixed or whatever. So like you're dealing with this like in progress like recipe that's not done yet, and it's like it's not done until it's done, right, like it's only when you kind of approach that final like beta phase of development that things are really coming together, where there's not more of those rough edges around anymore, and you just kind of polish everything up and fix all the bugs, fix all the crashes, etc. The issue with the demo, or making like an E3 demo or something, if you're working on a game whose cycle is 5 years, and let's say you're 4 years into that cycle, there will be like you have a lot of content in there, you have a lot of the product in there, but a lot of stuff is not polished, a lot of stuff is not ready. There's like crashes, there's things going in all the time, and etc. So what you need to do is you create a branch off the game, which is basically a copy. Like you clone what you have of the game, and then people keep working over here on new stuff, while a certain portion of your developers will work over here on polishing off that branch, so that we can display it, cut a trailer out of it, or like have a gameplay demo at an E3 or whatever. So yes, it does take away from development time in a lot of ways. Sometimes the whole studio is involved with the demo. Sometimes it is a group of developers that are involved with the demo for a long stretch of time. So it makes sense why they wouldn't do it. However,
Oh no. There's a however in this.
it's September, October, November, December. We are 3 months away from the game coming out.
Yes.
And here's where it gets weird. Like, this game was supposed to have come out 9 months ago. We are now 3 months away from it actually coming out. It is weird for me to think that they planned, after delaying the game for a whole year, that they planned their year of development without planning a time frame where they could cut out a stable build for a demo or a trailer or something like that.
Yeah, like the marketing beats weren't like part of the schedule. That seems weird. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about a game that was delayed for 13 months, that they showed a trailer last summer, that didn't show well.
Yeah. So it feels off. Like it just feels off, because as much as I just said everything I said, and I understand there is, and you understand that too, there is a cost to doing these demos. So many games do it. You would have expected that they would have planned for it. And the question then becomes, did they plan for it? Did they maybe plan for it, but they ran out of time?
Or they got derailed because more fires had to be put out? Because I'm telling you, man, I'm on that conspiracy theory train where like there's a fire, and they're not telling us about it. But I keep telling you that there's a fire in there, and we just got to wait for that Halo Infinite making of documentary that comes out 5 years from now.
At this point, like, I don't know how to feel about this game anymore. I'm rooting for them. I hope it's great. I'm in the same position that a lot of the folks at Level 1 Gaming as well, where it's like, I hope it's great. But I do think that we should keep our expectations in check.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Like I said, he needs to be the best Halo to ever Halo. But that being said, let's talk about it from a Ready Press Play thing perspective here, because I was thinking to myself, was like, man, we have not been doing any live streams. We're not playing Halo. I know we're busy. I know. I'm not trying to throw shade at you. I haven't been doing my backlog either. That being said, though, my original hope was to have played like the Halo franchise leading up to Halo Infinite, and I'm running out of time on that one. I'm gonna say, like, I feel like the ship is sailing at this point for me. Yeah. So I don't know how we want to handle it when we cover the game, which we presumably are, by the way. I don't know how I want to feel like just going into Halo Infinite only knowing Halo 1. You know what I mean?
I want to try to play the other one still. We can even try to play them together, but
maybe Louis, better to play separate. Yeah, probably separate.
Yeah. I don't want to stream it, because I'm not gonna. It's gonna be too difficult for me to fit like the streaming, like the weekly streaming schedule, on my life at this moment. And even if we did, I don't know if you remember, but it actually took us like 5 or 6 streams to beat Halo 1.
Yes.
So we would probably at most do like 2.5 more games before we got there. So I almost feel like I instead want to kind of just try to play it on my own time. And so, all right, let me put it this way. I am committing to start Halo 2 between now and next episode. All right.
Okay,
Does that sound
I'll
good?
do the same. I'll do the same.
All right.
All right.
So let's try to pull it off. Still.
Halo 2 impressions coming next week. You heard it here first.
only
these are things
20 years late. Yeah, 15, I guess. I don't know. How long ago was Halo 2?
By the way, I like how this was the kind of discussion we would have off camera, and we're doing it on camera.
I know.
I'm sorry. I put you on the spot, but I was thinking to myself, I was like, shit.
We're good.
We made this promise to ourselves last year, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, but on Series X came out, we're like, man, we made our promise to ourselves that we were going to play all the Halo games before the Series X launched, because Halo wasn't even delayed at the time when we were talking about it.
And then we planned on like playing Ratchet and Clank and all this other stuff too, but we'll just forget about it.
They don't know our other plans of other spoiler casts planned.
I did beat 12 minutes though. Since last week,
we could do a spoiler cast in 12 minutes. There you go.
That is true.
DLC incoming. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the extra news here. This show is filled of tangents and derailing, but I'm sorry. I run a very loose ship here.
It's good. It's good so far. I like it.
The extra news here, there are 14 items on the list, a baker's dozen. All right, and I know Dan hates that. Number 1. This year's all-digital Tokyo Game Show 2021 will include a live stream from Xbox, Square Enix, Tencent, Boo, Konami, Bandai Namco, 505 Games, Capcom, and Sega. Number 2, according to reliable leaker Zippo, a Nintendo Direct is expected to take place within the next 2 weeks, focusing on the remaining lineup for this year and early 2022 games. Number 3, Brendan Green, but better known as Player Unknown, has left PUBG Studios to form a new independent studio. Of course that's going to happen. Number 4, Konami has announced that online servers for Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 will be shutting down at the end of May 2022. Number 5, CD Projekt Red has told investors it can't say with full certainty that Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3 next-gen updates will launch this year, despite the developer insisting that it's still aiming for a late 2021 release. Number 6, rumor Nintendo will expand its Switch online service with Game Boy and Game Boy Color titles. Number 7, October's DC Fandom event will feature video games Gotham Knights and the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League alongside the next Batman crossover in Fortnite. Number 8, looks like there will be a sequel to Death Stranding as star Norman Reedus, who plays Sam Porter Bridges in the game, has revealed to journalists that at a Walking Dead roundtable that negotiations are underway. Number 9, the pilot episode of The Last of Us TV show appears to have wrapped in its principal photography. Number 10, The Last of Us developer Naughty Dog says it's aggressively hiring for its new standalone multiplayer game and promised a cinematic experience similar to single-player blockbusters. Number 11, the creator of No More Heroes series has claimed that the game released today is the last. Okay. Number 12, China cuts children's online gaming to 1 hour a day / 3 hours a week. Number 13, one of Atari's oldest games is making a comeback this month as Centipede Recharged gives the cult classic game a more modern makeover on consoles, PC, and the Atari VCS out on September 29th. Number 14, added by yours truly. The new tournament series, Riptide, received a cease and desist from Nintendo, and they had to cancel their P+ bracket and will be refunding competitors that signed up for the tournament. And finally, the Roundup. Crisis Remastered Trilogy is coming to Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC on October 15th. Ghostbusters Afterlife has been delayed to November 19th. Hello Kitty is coming to Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. Blastoise has arrived in Pokemon Unite. Cat Dog and April O'Neil were announced for Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. And Will Smith's character from Bad Boys has joined Fortnite. And I got that skin, by the way. That is definitely a lot of extra news and pretty meaty stuff, too, at that. What do you want to talk about?
Let's see. I think the Death Stranding leak one is interesting because that was actually reported on by IGN Brazil, and it looks like Norman Reedus was given an interview to some outlet in Brazil, and then he kind of let that slide. Sometimes, actors will kind of say that kind of shit when they don't really know what they're talking about. So we should take it with a grain of salt, but it seems like Death Stranding 2 might actually be happening. or it could even be that he was talking about some like spin-off or maybe even some other version of the game or something along those lines. Um,
I didn't realize
let's
it was
see.
that successful. I mean, I know it was like lauded critically, but like I don't know, I don't hear like people talk about sales figures or sales records or this shit's popping, that kind of thing for
Yeah,
Death
I think we
Stranding.
covered it. I think there was an extra news item a few months ago where we finally found out how many units it
Oh
sold, and
yeah, I forgot about that.
it was
Yeah,
a few million units, but not a lot.
yeah.
Um, and then like I'm very curious about this Last of Us multiplayer game because I'll be honest with you, Lewis. I don't know if you remember this, but I predicted this last year as a like year one PS5 game. I thought it was going to be one of their major pushes because they had Last of Us Part 2 come out in like it was supposed to come out early in 2020 and it ended up coming out in like June or something. But this game was supposed to be part of The Last of Us Part 2. It was like something that was being developed
In tandem.
alongside it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they eventually kind of spun off into its own game. So I expected us to see that game a lot faster than it seems like we will. So far, we have still not had a proper announcement for it, a proper review for it. We know it exists, but it hasn't really been talked about much. And now the story is that they're aggressively hiring for it. That it's going to be a cinematic experience, which makes me think like, is this like we keep thinking this is a multiplayer game in the way that Fortnite is a multiplayer game, but is perhaps this more of a like a way out? Like, is this maybe like more like a co-op, like or like some kind of like cinematic adventure experience? Maybe even something like an Outriders or something like that.
Yeah. I don't
I
know
don't
how you make
know.
a cinematic multiplayer experience unless like you're like doing something like I don't know, scripted events within like I guess I was thinking to myself like what wasn't there like some cool scripted events that happen in damn, what's that zombie game? Left 4 Dead. Yeah, like stuff like that.
Right, right, right.
So,
Um, yeah, it's almost like coming across like I don't know, like I feel like that game is not going to be anything like what The Last of Us Factions was for the first game is what it's sounding like.
it just sucks
Um,
that they're spinning it off into its own thing, and it's not like a situation where everybody who owns The Last of Us Part Two is gonna get this for free. We're sorry we're
yeah.
late, but that would suck if if they charge full price for it.
Also, this wasn't included in the doc, but when it comes to charging for price, do you see the situation with Horizon Forbidden West?
I think they revealed a pre-order trailer. I know that. Oh, wait, I only saw the headline. I didn't see the full thing, but basically, there's like an upgrade path that people are calling bullshit on from
Yeah.
PS4 to
So
PS5.
basically, here, okay. So you can buy the PS4 version of the game for $60. You can buy the PS5 version of the game for $70,
Okay.
or you can buy the PS4 plus PS5 bundle for $80. But the weird thing is that if you bought the PS4 one, you cannot pay like a $10 upgrade to get the PS5 or to upgrade to the bundle. You would have, if you just bought the PS4 one, you would have to go and separately buy the PS5 one. So if you have a PS4 but don't have a PS5 yet, like your best option ends up being to get the $80. It just feels like convoluted and weird, and is just one of those things that just showcases how Xbox has got the next gen upgrade situation figured out so much better than Sony has.
Yeah, it feels
Um,
like they just make
but
up they change the rules every game. Like with
yeah,
Spider-Man, Miles Morales, like they just sort of, whatever they feel like today, is what it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But I wanted to talk about the Smash Brothers thing. So, Riptide is a brand new tournament series. They are a spinoff of a tournament series called Smash and Splash, where they had to like Smash and Splash. The brand had to die, and so the people that were working on it just decided, okay, let's come together and make something new. So, Riptide is about to have its first major tournament later this fall. I believe is in October. I don't remember the date actually, to tell you the truth. Which probably this article probably says it. But that being said, the story is that there's a mod, and which I talked about on back when Battle Bus was a thing. There's a mod called P Plus, which is a mod of a mod called PM, like Project M. Project M, like the development team had to like get disbanded because of cease and desist from a long time ago, back in like 2014. They just had to stop to making. They had to cease development, and some fan just sort of like there were characters that were that were announced that were being worked on that like there was like early development builds out there of what was to be basically. And so somebody decided to come together, make it finish the vision, and so they called it Project Plus or P Plus, and it's basically like the continuation of PM. And it had like the character Knuckles added on, and it had its features and quality of life improvements, all this other stuff. I talked about it before, and basically the Nintendo is in a situation where they just want to just kind of crush everything and squash everything down that is a mod. That's like they want to have they don't want their intellectual property being shown or broadcast on Twitch or whatever, being shown in a way that's not theirs. You know, it's so it kind of sucks, and it's not like a situation where Nintendo can call piracy, because in order to run P Plus, you need to have a Brawl disc inside of the Wii, which they do. They do it above board, where it's an SD card being modded on top of Brawl as a foundation. So it's more of a situation where they just, I guess, as much as it is to say, you know, as hard as it is to say they're within their right to do it, it's definitely not a good look, because P Plus running is not going to affect the sales of Smash Ultimate, because Brawl is discontinued. They're not selling Brawl in Walmarts anymore. They're not selling Melee. They're not selling, you know, hell, they're probably not even selling Smash 4 anyways.
It's not about that. I mean, the community that engaged in this stuff, like, I know you're very involved in it, but in the grand scheme of things, it is a niche community, right? Yes. It's like what is it? It's probably at most like a few.
Hell, even if you had 1,000 attendees, if you had 1,000 attendees, it's still like less than a percentage, I would say. But
yeah, so there's like a few thousand people that you know get engaged in this stuff and then try this stuff and do this stuff, and you're one of them. But yeah, that doesn't make a dent. Like, even if all the people that participated on this did not buy Smash Ultimate, which is not the case, because those are mostly like the big fans that are buying everything Nintendo makes.
Yes.
Then even still, like that would be, like you said, it would be like less than 1% of like their sales. It doesn't make a difference. So that's not what it's about. This is really just Nintendo being overprotective of their IP, and just Nintendo being Nintendo. You know, like they don't want anybody messing with their stuff unless they've specifically authorized it, and it's, you know,
no derivative works. Fuck AM2R, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, fuck Pokemon Uranium. All that stuff. We've talked about that before, like ad nauseum, about how Nintendo does that thing. But like I said, this one is just a little bit too far. And the reason why I brought this up in the extra news, by the way, is because they are not even like affiliated with Nintendo. Like, they're not a Nintendo sponsored event. So they don't, like, the reason why the Big House got like canceled or cease and desist last year was because they are an official Nintendo partner. You know, but the Riptide is not. So I just thought that that's really weird and kind of fucked up that Nintendo went out of the way to seek them out and made them stop. You know, so anyways, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the extra news. We're going to go ahead and kick it off to Temple of Time.
You're keeping me on my toes.
Well, yeah, why is that?
At this point, I thought you were going to continue with the order in the dock, but let's go.
You know, I have to kick the show off to you to end the show. You know that, right?
Okay, fair enough.
That's how this works. All right. I am just going out of my way to try to fix the text here, so that way it's hidden for even the people that. Because I like to put the doc up on screen, and Dan hates that. Temple of Time, it's the segment where we talk about the anniversaries, and we have like the 5-year anniversaries, the 10-year anniversaries, and all that stuff, up to like the dawn of gaming, where we talk about all like the games that released at the time, and some news stories when I can find them. So for 5 years ago, it was September of 2016, and that's when Microsoft Studios launched the Xbox Play Anywhere program, where you can cross-play between Xbox One and Windows 10. That was such a seminal moment, and it was kind of like the beginning of Xbox's strategy that we sort of like blossomed into today when we talk about like the xCloud and all this other stuff, I would say. What a moment, and Xbox continues to be very consumer-friendly. Do you have anything to say about that?
Was that Phil Spencer already? I think it was, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Don Matrick got fired within a year, back in 2014.
Yeah, exactly. So, but this was still like the early years of Phil Spencer as the head of Xbox. So, yeah. Um, I feel like the Xbox One, despite the fact that I never owned one, I feel like it deserved a little bit more credit because
Yes.
I know it kind of had like a botched launch and everything, but it wasn't that bad of a console, and it did get some nice games and etc. And I feel like there were many years where I would watch their press conference and walk out of it being like, that was good. They showed a lot of like interesting, cool stuff. The problem was that a lot of those games never ended up coming out. But
Yeah, I know,
yeah,
right? Next up, Blizzard announced that they would phase out Battle.net or BattleNet, but then they never did. That was such a big hubbub. I remember that story being such a big deal. So as far as releases that came out, I know there's a lot of releases here, but I actually like every year I always weed out some stuff that don't make the cut. But what I found interesting was Mother Russia Bleeds on PC, which is a beat 'em up game. Oceanhorn, Monsters of the Uncharted Seas, which is like a Legend of Zelda-esque game, came out on PS4 and Xbox One. And then it was Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Spirit of Justice on the 3DS. We normally don't cover ports, but I make certain exceptions at certain times. Bioshock the Collection came out on PS4 and Xbox One. NHL 17 came out on PS4 and Xbox One. Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 came out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Pro Evolution Soccer or PES 17 came out on PC, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. The the game that, oh man, Recore, that was supposed to be like a big
Robot Dog, right?
yes.
That's what I remember
Yeah.
from that. Yeah.
Robot Dog. Came out on PC and Xbox One. Persona 5. Oh, Persona 5. Came out on PS3 and PS4. NBA 2K17 came out on PC, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. Walking simulator game Virginia came out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. FIFA 17 came out on PC, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One. Sonic Boom, Fire and Ice came out on 3DS. XCOM 2 came out on PS4 and Xbox One. And the series that never was, Yokai Watch 2, came out on 3DS.
What do you mean the series that never was?
I would say,
There's
like, when Yokai Watch came from Japan, it was supposed to be like the next Pokemon. And it never really amounted to that, I don't think.
Yeah.
At least for the United States. Maybe in Japan it did, and maybe in Japan it popped off, but not here in the U.S.
I think it was successful in Japan. Like just based on the amount of games that exist in that series, actually, I think it was successful because there's like three mainline ones, and if you think three mainline ones is just like in just like I don't know like 5-ish years that they've been out, like 7 years or something, it's not that bad. And then I think they've had some spin-offs as well. But let's see what I want to shout out here. Obviously, I do like FIFA. I haven't played like FIFA too much in a while, but when I was younger, I used to play it pretty often. However, I also played PES here and there, and
FIFA and PES show up a lot in this anniversaries, by the way.
oh yeah, I bet. And PES has evolved now, Lewis. I can't remember if we covered this or not, but
They
Pro
changed the
Evolution
name, right?
Soccer, they changed the name, and it's now a free-to-play game. Which I actually think is really smart. So they're probably gonna go the model now where it's like a free to play game, and then you download like you pay for updates every year or something like that. And I downloaded it recently, and I actually checked it out, and I played it for a little bit like a few weeks ago. And I did enjoy it. I felt like the game was had a pretty high bar of quality for a free to play game. So it's kind of interesting that their method to compete with FIFA is to go free to play. So they're probably gonna reach a much wider audience now, but I don't know if they're gonna make as much money. But I don't know. I just wanted to give that a shout out. I think that's interesting.
I always joke, and I think I insult Dan and his people, but PES is broke man's FIFA.
The funny thing is that like there's plenty of people that prefer PES than FIFA. Obviously, I'm not gonna say that myself because disclaimer, I'm an EA employee and blah 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 blah. But
You gotta sort of box yourself in a hole on that one, but go ahead.
Yeah. So like FIFA, there's a lot of licenses that FIFA gets that Pro Evolution Soccer doesn't, I think. So like that's one of the main differences between the two games is like the licenses that they get. But PES gets the Brazilian clubs for some reason. And I think it's probably because they know that a lot of their audience is in Brazil and maybe FIFA doesn't care about that as much. So I have a Brazilian club that I support and that I'm a fan of, and I can play as that club in PES, but I can't in FIFA. So that's the thing. But then meanwhile, there's big European clubs that are in FIFA but not in PES. And so anyway, I'm going on a tangent there, but
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I
BioShock
was
the
about to give a shout
Collection.
out to Bioshock too because we barely just played it for like our spoiler cast, and it's so fucked up that I had like bought the game brand new and never played it until finally Dan had to put me up to it.
You know what, Lewis? I was thinking about this recently. Like, man, BioShock was actually really good. Like I kind of want to go and play the other ones. Like I've been in this itch recently where there's other games that I want to play first. We want to do the Halo thing. Where I was just playing 12 minutes and etc. But at some point, I think it would be cool to actually like, for us to commit again, and actually play like BioShock 2 and then play BioShock Infinite because I do actually really want to check those out. And then the other thing I wanted to say here, Virginia. So we
Yes.
talked about Virginia in the I feel like the first few months of the podcast because I was playing it, and weirdly enough, I never finished that game.
Oh wow.
It's one of those that I think is just 2 or 3 hours long.
Yeah.
But I ended up playing it for a bit, and then I stopped, and then I never turned it on again.
What's kind of fucked up is like I'm the guy that doesn't roll credits on games, and I did roll credits on that game. So shame on you.
Something I learned about me and you recently actually is that I beat more longer games than you do, but you beat more shorter games than I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Makes no fucking sense, but go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think I do this thing where once I've committed like a certain amount of hours, like I go, I gotta beat this. But there's so many times where I'll start a game and I'll play it for an hour and I'll turn it off and then I just forget about it.
Yeah.
And then it's like some 2-hour game. I could easily beat it, but I just forgot about it. So,
Yeah. Fair enough. I guess I guess that was it. I just want to say it's Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. That was like supposed to be a franchise, a sub franchise, which I don't even know if it was successful.
There
or
were
not.
2 Sonic Boom games. There was one on the Wii U and one on the 3DS, and I remember one of them was good and the other one was not, but I can't remember which was which.
All right. So 10 years ago, September of 2011, there was Dead Island for PC, Xbox 360.
Oh, we're still waiting for that sequel, by the way. To that.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's crazy.
2 generations later.
Yeah.
PC, Xbox 360, and PS3. Disgaea 4, I Promise Unforgotten, came out on PS3. Resistance 3 came out on PS3. Driver, San Francisco, which is I believe is a Ubisoft franchise, came out on PC, PS3, Xbox 360, Wii. Star Fox 64 3D came out on the 3DS. Bit Trip Saga came out on the 3DS. Call of Juarez, The Cartel came out on Wii. NHL 12 came out on PS3 and Xbox 360. Frogger 3D came out on the 3DS. Gears of War 3, Xbox 360. FIFA 12, PC, PS3, Xbox 360, Wii, PS2, PSP, 3DS, and iOS. PES 12, PC, PS2, PS3, PSP, Xbox 360, Wii, 3DS. And finally, the cult classic that, I can't believe is 10 years old because it's still relevant as fuck. The Binding of Isaac came out on PC for the first time.
I may not have PES 12, or at least right now, or in general, but I do have PES 2011 on the 3DS. And it has one of those, like, I don't know what you call this, like holographic. Yeah.
It looks 3D even within this image, by the way. I can see the 3D effect. That's crazy.
I don't remember if this was a competent port of the game or not, but it was playable. It was okay. Like, this was actually because my dad is not into video games. He doesn't really like understand too much like the things I like or whatever. But he likes soccer. We actually bond a lot over soccer. A lot of times I follow soccer more than I otherwise would to like talk to my dad about it. And so when he and my mom, they bought me the 3DS for my birthday in 2011. And so he went there, he bought the 3DS, and then he was looking for a game to buy. And I don't know if you remember, Lewis. I mean, you do. But the 3DS, like around launch time, didn't really have
was whack.
Yeah, like didn't really have anything really. So like he looked around and was like, "Oh, a soccer game, cool." And then he bought it. So he bought me this, and I played it. And I thought it was like, "Oh, this is all right."
Yeah, but there wasn't like the first real good game for the 3DS wasn't until Ocarina of Time until June. And then this was like the 1-2 punch. This was like the ramp up because Star Fox 64 3D was the start of like the Nintendo push where you got Star Fox 64 in September, you get Mario Kart, or no, Mario 3D Land in November and Mario Kart in December. And in September they had the price drop happen because they launched the red 3DS, I believe it was the red one, the red model at this time with Star Fox 64. So.
You're getting me all nostalgic, man. Like the 3DS, like I just love the 3DS so much, dude. Like I wish there's part of me that wishes it was still relevant in some way, but it doesn't. Like I know there's the Switch now, so you know, like the Switch made it irrelevant. But I just really like the 3DS.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna give just an unusual shout out here, like Bit Trip. Have you ever played that, Liz?
I've seen it. I've seen like how it looks like. I never played it.
I don't remember. I didn't play this 3DS one, but I played a Bit Trip game, I think on the Wii. And those games were fun. They were like these like platform. They were like almost like infinite runner platformers that were highly stylized and where you had to like jump to the beat of the music and stuff. And there were like some mini games and shit. And I don't know. It was those games were fun. It's this weird franchise that I feel like it's I guess it is a Nintendo franchise of some kind. Like it may not be first party, but I don't know if these games are in other. Isn't it second party? Like I don't know if these games are in other consoles or not.
I have Bit Trip on PlayStation 3.
Okay. So maybe it started. I don't know why. Like I associated with Nintendo in my head. I think like maybe it started on Nintendo.
It was like a PS Plus game. That's why I have it. But yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, those games were fun. So that's the other shout out I want to give. There.
Yeah. So other than that, I wish I could give a shout out to Gears because I know it's a big franchise, but I don't have any personal experience with it. So we'll go ahead and keep it pushing to the next one. 15 years ago brings us to September of 2006, and we got a banger, iconic game in here. First off, it was the beginning of Roblox, which surprisingly, I don't even know how that's even possible.
What? Are you serious right now?
Yeah. Roblox came out on PC, and I don't even know if like the people that are playing the Xbox, like Roblox on Xbox, are they playing the exact same game that's just been developed over 15 years?
This is blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, so
I had never heard of Roblox until like this year, and you're telling me this is older than fucking Minecraft?
Yes.
This is crazy. I'm looking this up right now.
So Roblox has been popping recently, and it's crazy that like when I was looking at the Wikipedia, it makes it seem like what's on console is just a port of this game, is what it seems like. But you can fact check me while I read the rest of the list. Bomberman PSP came out on PSP. Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, came out on PC, PS2, Xbox, GameCube, Xbox 360, the DS, and PSP. NHL 07, which I guess I forgot to type in the platforms it came out, but I'm guessing it came out on a lot of platforms. My bad. Mega Man ZX came out on the DS. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team came out on 2 platforms. They're basically the same game. Blue Rescue Team came out on the DS. Red Rescue Team came out on the Game Boy Advance. The big iconic game that is iconic, Okami, came out on the PS2. That was the game I was referencing. Just Cause began its life as a franchise. Came out on PC, PS2, Xbox, and Xbox 360. Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, March of the Minis, came out on the DS. The Fast and the Furious came out on PS2. And just for shits and giggles, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl came out in Japan only. Nintendo and Pokemon Company had yet to get woke and start doing global launches until much later on. So yeah, that's the anniversaries for the 15-year mark. Dan, do you got an update?
I am trying to understand how doing a global launch is considered get woke, but okay.
Shut up, Dan. No one asked you.
Anyway, I am legitimately confused, but all right. So Roblox came out in September 2006 on PC, and then on iOS in 2012, Android in 2014, and Xbox One in 2015. And I find it really weird that the game has popped like crazy
and no sequels
over like recently. And yeah, and it's not like, I mean, I was taking a look, I was skimming over the Wikipedia, and it's not even like it's like, oh, they got like some major, next update or something in 2020. Like, I don't know. Let's see. Throughout 2017, Roblox engaged in a number of updates to its server technology. In November 2018, the ability of our players to guest without an account, which had been progressively restricted over the previous 2 years, was removed entirely. In July 2020, Roblox announced the creation of Party Place, which functions as an online hangout. I'm
So they
gonna
just
guess
kept on
this is
updating.
what.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that this is the update that did it. In July 2020, during the pandemic, they announced the creation of a Party Place, which functions as an online hangout. The feature was created using new technology that had been used during the 2020 Bloxy Awards and was designed in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Um, and then it released in China in December 2020. Um, okay, interesting. Yeah, I've yet to play this, but
I played
I've
Roblox
heard
once
much about it.
with my nephew because he wanted to play the game to hang out, with someone, and so
It sounds like it's basically Dreams.
yes, yes, it
Yeah.
is. There was a lot of different modes and creative. There's many a different gameplay modes that I just like. There's just so many different courses and obstacles and all this other stuff and tasks that you can do and engage in. But yeah, as
But
far as
Okami.
yes,
Shout out to Okami. I played that on the Wii, didn't finish it, and
there was the Wii. There was the. Did it come to PS3? I don't remember. I think it did.
it's on everything.
And then
That game has been
and then it came to
ported
PS4,
everything.
and then it became to Switch. So yeah, that game has a legacy. And damn, I forgot that weird ass name of his that starts with the letter A. That wolf guy.
Amaterasu.
Yeah, that's the one.
Mhm.
He was in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 of all things, as a fighter.
Cool.
But yeah, that's. By the way, the Fast and the Furious. I think that's a really weird title considering that this is 2006. That means Tokyo Drift had came out at that time. It's not the first. It's not the first Fast and the Furious. So why did they name it as such? Who the hell knows? But yeah,
We don't question Fast and Furious naming logic. The new movie
it's
was
kind of
literally
funny.
called just F9.
Yeah, you know what? I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Next up, 20 years ago, September of 2001. Not a lot of games, but some bangers in here. And I threw some troll picks in here just because I wanted to see how Dan would respond. Shenmue 2 came out on the Dreamcast. Advance Wars came out on the Game Boy Advance. Those are
You already started with a troll pick.
what? Shenmue 2?
Shenmue 2.
No, that's not a troll pick. I mean, it's a what's kind of funny is that the Dreamcast was already discontinued by this time, and they just released
I
it.
just like to make fun of it. Let's go.
The World Is Not Enough came out on the Game Boy Color, which is like the 007 James Bond game. Power Rangers Time Force came out on Game Boy Advance. How when Power Rangers was a thing. Klonoa, Empire of Dreams came out on Game Boy Advance. Silent Hill 2 came out on PS2. X-Men Reign of Apocalypse came out on Game Boy Advance. And the Team Ecos, if they were even called Team Eco at the time, created Eco on PS2, which I've played.
I've actually never played any of those games, but I want to look up how much to get Silent Hill 2 right now
On eBay? Okay.
Yeah. Because I know, so like the first thing that showed up is that there's a listing here for $90 plus $5 shipping. You know what? Not too bad. Let's see, somebody is selling an Xbox copy, original Xbox, for $50.
Damn. That's like some Nintendo pricing right there.
Yeah, let's look at the auctions here. I know this is like a slightly rare game as far as I know, like a or not. I shouldn't call it a rare game. It's one of those like collectors, right?
Yeah.
Like collectors like it. So it can go for. I actually was expecting it to be more expensive than this, but yeah, looks like under $100 can get it. You can get it for under $100, which is not too bad for a collector game.
So just gotta say, as far as shoutouts go, Shenmue 2. I think that's more of a collector's game because that came out at the end of the life cycle because again the Dreamcast was already discontinued, and I would imagine that's it's not so much a necessary buy anymore because just Shenmue's 1 and 2 got ported to the PS4 ahead of the Shenmue 3 launch. So, and also Advance Wars is coming out on the Switch like literally later this fall. Whenever they was announced at E3, so Advance Wars is getting its day to shine, and that's cool. I'm surprised. I'm actually genuinely forgot that Klonoa was even a franchise, to tell you the truth. And it kind of sucks that Klonoa didn't get that like legacy that Crash Bandicoot or Spyro kind of sort of enjoys, and now I want Klonoa for Smash.
Yeah, yeah, good point. Good
Yeah,
point. I want Liz, how many people do you think played Shenmue, like the series in the
not
world?
entirely sure. Like a million,
Do you
maybe?
think a million people have played Shenmue?
Yeah, I would
'Cause
say
I
a
don't know.
million.
Hmm.
Is that fair to say
All
or
right.
no?
I mean, maybe. Like, I would guess less. I would guess like I
Well,
don't know,
well,
like
Shenmue
two
One was an
hundred thousand.
iconic, like legendary game ahead of its time that people talk about in like retrospectives. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so the original Shenmue game sold 1.2 million units. Yeah.
And also, just want to say, as far as eco, I think eco, and this is in my opinion, eco is overstated because we talk about Team Eco, we talk about Shadow of the Colossus, we talk about what's the Guardian? What is it? The Last Guardian? No, that's not the right. Is that right?
No, you're thinking of Shadow of the Colossus, right?
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus and the Last Guardian.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, forgot for whatever reason I was doubting about that. That was the name of the game. But as far as eco goes, it is basically Fetch Quest the game. No, no, wait, not Fetch Quest. What's that thing where you sort of like have to like guide somebody with your hand and you sort of like pull them along?
Oh, escort mission.
Escort mission, the game. That's the one. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah, it's the whole game is one big escort mission with all of like the frustrations that come along with that. So,
All right.
all right, let's go ahead and move on to 25 years ago. This brings us to September of 1996. Virtua Fighter 3 came out in arcade. Dan, you're gonna love this. Crash Bandicoot 1 came out on the PS1. Did not know this, but it was called Revelations Persona, which was the first Persona game, and it was developed by Atlas. Came out on the PS1, which is really weird.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Persona actually started as a spin-off of the Shin Megami Tensei series. So it was like, yeah, they had like Shin Megami Tensei, and then they spun off some stuff from that world in that first Persona game, and then that became its own franchise later on.
Oh, it's just really weird because I always thought it was a separate franchise that they decided to collaborate and make a Shin Megami Tensei cross Persona kind of. What was that thing? Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Yeah.
That was Fire Emblem. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know
okay.
what you're talking about.
Yeah. Pilot Wings 64 and Super Mario 64 were the launch titles for the Nintendo 64 in America, which is really crazy to think that the Nintendo 64 only launched with 2 games. Granted, one of them is an iconic icon, that is, Mario 64. But yeah, no one talks about Pilot Wings at all, ever. Not for the Super Nintendo, not for the Nintendo 64, and not for the 3DS.
Oh yeah, it was a
launch title for the 3DS.
I remember that. Yeah, wasn't there a Pilot Wings mini game on like? Was it on Nintendo Land? No.
Yes. Wait.
No, it was Wii Sports Resort.
Yes.
Wii Sports Resort had a Pilot Wings like section. I actually think the island
Woohoo Island, yeah.
that it's set on is from Pilot Wings and stuff.
Yeah, Woohoo Island was in Pilot Wings 3DS.
I got info from Persona here. So Persona, previously known as Shin Megami Tensei Persona outside of Japan, is a video game franchise developed and primarily published by Atlas, blah, 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 blah. It is a spin-off from Atlas's Megami Tensei franchise. The first entry in the series, Revelations Persona, was released in 1996 for the PlayStation. Cool. Yeah, so yeah, it was a spin-off of the Shin Megami Tensei.
It's really weird that they just sort of dropped the Revelations, just started like Persona 2, P3,
Yeah.
P4, yeah. I was like surprised when I saw Revelations Persona. And by the way, just as a separate side note, Woohoo Island was created during the Wii for Wii Sports, and it was supposed to be like this thing where like Woohoo Island was like this map or these assets that Nintendo created, and they wanted it to be in multiple Nintendo games. So they wanted it yeah.
Isn't that where COVID came from?
No, fuck you. Woohoo Island, by the way, was in Mario Kart 7, by the way. It was one of the courses. So just throwing that out there. Street Fighter Alpha 2 came out on the arcade, Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1, and the Sega Saturn. And finally, Donkey Kong Land 2 came out on the Game Boy Color, and nobody talks about the Donkey Kong Land series of Game Boy games, and is rightfully so.
Crash Bandicoot may or may not have been in our top games from the 90s. If you want to go back 2 or 3 episodes and listen to that.
Dan, you trolled me. I like how like they came out in the same month, by the way. And Dan trolled me when when I thought he was bringing in Mario 64 to the list. And they came out in the same month. All right. 30 years ago, we were talking about September of 1991. And it says here, Namco releases Starblade for arcades, featuring one of the earliest instances of a real-time 3D graphics in video games. And then EA releases a motorcycle racing game called Road Rash for the Sega Genesis, starting that series. Never heard of that series, by the way.
I've heard of it, but I've never played any of those games. Interesting.
All right. Next up, 35 years ago, we are talking about September of 1986. It says Sega releases the Master System, the actual 8-bit competitor to the NES. The Master System console in the US with about 6 launch titles that I was able to research. None of which are notable because I didn't even know. I never heard of them. I Wikipedia them, and I'm like, it's not worthy. But that is what it is. On September 12th, Hudson Soft releases Adventure Island on the Famicom, which is in Japan. It later came to the United States and North America in September of 1987. September 20th, Sega releases Outrun racing game in Japan and would later come to North America in November of that same year. September 26th, Konami releases, and I'm not even going to try to do it, but Akumajo, Dracula.
Yeah, probably. That's probably
for the Famicom Disk System, which is the first game in the Castlevania series. It would later launch in November of 1987. Or I'm sorry, May of 1987.
So I wonder if it's not called Castlevania in Japan, or if it was just that first game that was weird.
Akumajo. Yeah. Yeah, that's really weird. I like how they basically put Dracula's name on that. Or maybe, I don't know. It's kind of weird to think about how we call them Metroidvanias and stuff like that, and that's,
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't get it until like damn near a year later in May of 1987. So yeah, that is it for the. Oh wait, one more. Actually, 40 years ago. Okay, September of 1981, Namco releases Galaga, the sequel to Galaxian, which became more popular than the original. I think we even talked about Galaxian in a previous Temple of Time, by the way. Taito releases abstract twin-stick shooter Space Dungeon. Data East releases the vertically scrolling isometric maze game Treasure Island in Japan, and it came out in North America in June of 1982. And Wizardry for the Apple II is the first in a computer role-playing franchise that eventually spans 8 games. Never heard of Wizardry, but good for them.
Back to Castlevania. The international name of Castlevania was the result of Konami of America's senior vice president discomfort with the religious connotations of the title Akumajo Dracula, which he believed translated as Dracula Satanic Castle. Castlevania was one of the first major platform games on the NES and a part of an unofficial second wave of video games on the NES. Its release coincided with the 90th anniversary of Bram Stoker's Dracula. There was also another game called Akumajo Dracula, which was developed for the MSX2 simultaneously. Huh. That game later got renamed to Vampire Killer.
The more you know.
Japan. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So, wait, it's hard to think, like 40 years ago, in September of 1981. We're not even in the 70s anymore. Like, damn. By the way, I keep teasing it, but there's some big news coming in November and December of this year as far as 50-year anniversaries. We've never covered a 50-year anniversary ever in the history of Temple of Time, because we're talking about the dawn of gaming. But I did find 3 releases in November and December. So what I might do is next month in October, I'll do a 50-year and just sort of spotlight it early, and then do 1 and 1 for November.
It's going to be Pong.
No,
don't spoil it.
But it's there is one game that I'm surprised is 50 years old. It's about to turn 50, and I'm surprised. It's a big series that's like I grew up with, and yeah. All right, don't Google it. I can see you Googling.
I see. I see. I see.
So that was it for Temple of Time here. So Dan, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the baton over to you.
What are you buying?
Cool. This should be pretty quick here this week. First toward new releases and updates. There's a new update to No Man's Sky. I didn't want to get too in the weeds with what that is, so you can go look into that if you're interested. And then there's a new season 5 for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War / Call of Duty Warzone. So you can go check that out if you want. That is actually coming out this coming week on September 9th. Then on September 3rd, the Medium is coming out to PS5, previous Xbox exclusive, the Medium. On September 7th, we got a new game called Chernobyl Light that is coming to PS4 and Xbox One. And I remember this name. I wasn't sure where from, probably from one of those events that we keep watching. So I went and I looked this up, and the game actually looked kind of cool. So I'm going to give this a shout out by reading the blurb. Chernobyl Light is a science fiction survival horror RPG set in the hyper-realistic 3D scan wasteland of Chernobyl's exclusion zone. Explore a non-linear storyline in your search to uncover the truth of your tortured past.
For some reason, I was thinking at first was that one game with like all the rats in the E3 demo, or
No, that's a Plague Tale.
okay,
Yeah. But fair enough. Encased is coming out on PC on September 7th. Fist, Forged in Shadow Torch, or FIST, Forged in Shadow Torch. It's coming out on PS5 and PS4 on September 7th. Sonic Colors Ultimate, the remaster, is coming out on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on September 7th. Use Sonic's lightning speed to free the Wisps and learn the secrets of their amazing powers as you explore 6 unique, colorful worlds, each filled with dangerous enemies and hurdles to overcome. Now with stunning upscaled visuals, additional features, a new game mode, and enhanced gameplay, it's the ultimate Sonic Colors experience.
I have this game on the Wii. Never played it. I played the first level, so I heard it. I heard Sonic Colors is good.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Blood Rain Betrayal Fresh Bites is coming out on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on September 9th. And The Artful Escape is coming out on Xbox One and PC on September 9th as well. So a bit of a quiet week, Louis, but I guess the bigger shout out is to Sonic Colors, right?
Yes, I saw the IGN review. They gave it a pretty positive review, by the way.
Cool.
Yes. I guess I'll go ahead. I forgot about the sound effects. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no worries. Also, I got something to tell you about this Sonic Colors remaster, but I'm gonna have to do it off record.
Okay.
Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger.
Now, on to our deals and free games this week. Let's go through what we have here at the Epic Game Store. The free game right now from now until September 9th is Yoku's Island Express. And the free game for next week will be Sheltered. That looks kind of interesting. For Yoku's Island Express, meet Yoku, the pin-sized postman protagonist of Yoku's Island Express. Use a unique blend of pinball mechanics, platforming, and open-world exploration to unlock the secrets of Mokumana Island. So it's basically a pinball game with like some... it almost looks like a mesh of like a pinball game with a platforming game.
Yeah.
But I've heard this name before plenty of times. It sounds like this is one of the great like indie games to come out over the last few years. It's from Team 17, which I know has a good rap. So probably a good one to get.
This art style looks like a mesh between Ori and Rayman.
Good call. Yeah, I can totally see the Rayman there. I'm actually gonna even look up the Metacritic for this game. I'm curious. Yeah, so depending on the platform, this game got between an 82 and an 84 on Metacritic. So yeah, it's not a bad game.
Okay.
Moving on, we're gonna get some new PS Plus games for September. They've been announced, and the games are Overcooked, All You Can Eat,
Yay.
Hitman 2, and Predator: Hunting Grounds. So I'd say pretty solid month. Not bad.
In case you didn't know, I guess you told me this before, but Overcooked All You Can Eat is Overcooked 1 and 2 combined into one. So it's the PS5 version of it. So
also
very happy with that.
I thought we had read a story about Predator Hunting Grounds shutting down their servers or something, didn't we? Am I crazy? Why
I
do I
think you
remember
did
that?
actually. Now that I think about it, yeah. That's actually hilarious as hell. Oh, by the way, Predator Hunting Grounds. Like I think IGN gave it like a 5. By the way, so I didn't review too well. It's sort of skating by on IP and what it is. That fact that it's Predator. But I mean, Overcooked is the win here, and pretty much anything would have been better than what Xbox presented for its lineup for September. So, yeah.
Yeah. As far as Xbox Game Pass goes, though, that's getting some nice additions. So for the next week in September, we're gonna see Craftopia being added to cloud, console, and PC on September 2nd, just like these next 3 games, which include Final Fantasy 13, which is not coming to cloud, but it's coming to console and PC. Signs of the Sojourner, and then Surgeon Simulator 2. Both of those I just read, cloud, console, and PC. The Xbox trifecta there. Then on September 7th, we got Crown Trick coming to console and PC. On September 9th, we got Breathe Edge coming to cloud, console, and PC. And as well, on September 9th, to console and PC, but not cloud, we got Nuclear Throne and The Artful Escape, which we did just read is one of the new games coming out this week.
And apparently,
Oh,
a bunch of Quake titles came out in late August. So,
cool. And then leaving Xbox Game Pass, which is always like the 1-2 punch here. On September 13th, Red Dead Online is leaving cloud and console, which I'm kind of confused about because I thought Red Dead Online was already a free-to-play game, but I guess not. Maybe I'm wrong. Um, and then on September 15th, we got Company of Heroes 2 leaving PC, Disgaea 4 leaving PC, Forza Motorsport 7 leaving all 3 platforms. We covered this before. It's because that game is basically getting discontinued. It's going to be removed from storefronts and etc. That's why it's being removed here. Hotshot Racing is leaving cloud and console. The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics is leaving all 3 platforms. And Thronebreaker The Witcher Tales is leaving cloud and console.
congratulations, Disgaea 4. We talked about you on your anniversary. Happy anniversary, and get the fuck out.
That is kind of funny, right? That it's getting removed from Game Pass on its anniversary, right?
Exactly.
Could it be some kind of strategy where like it's coming out of Game Pass because they're going to release some special edition of it or something?
I highly doubt it.
I don't know.
I highly doubt it. But I just wanted to make that joke. It's one of my very few times I get to be witty.
Sounds good. And then finally, there's a bunch of deals going on in the PlayStation Store right now. There's a few different sales. There's like a VR sale. There's a select sale and other stuff. But I just wanted to give a spotlight to the deal of the week, which this week is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. That is last year's Call of Duty, and it's available for $30, $35 for a cross-gen bundle, or $53.99 for an Ultimate Edition that has a lot of additional stuff.
Damn.
And with that, Lewis, I give the show back to you.
All right. It is time to end. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Ready Press Play. Remember, you can reach the podcast at ReadyPlayNetwork.com or simply at Ready Press Play on Twitter or TikTok. I'm on Twitter at Chocolaka88 and Dan.
And Dan Lima.
Don't forget to subscribe, tell your friends about the show, and give us a review and all that good stuff. See you next time. Peace.
Bye-bye.